another tip. When you buy used motorcycles, something that I've noticed that's really kind of a weird, it really is kind of a weird phenomenon, but people think that, you know, a KLR 650 should be sold at the price of a KLR 650 no matter what it has on it. And so most times it seems like on classifieds and online classifieds and things like that, people will be willing to sell a KLR 650 bone stock for a certain price. And then other people will say, oh, you know what, they're selling their KLR 650 for that price. Oh man, I have the Touratech panniers on there. I have, you know, the bash plate. I have hand guards. I did some mods to it. I have a headlight mod. I did, you know, they spent maybe $1,000 on, you know, stuff to make their motorcycle better. And they know that people aren't usually going to pay $1,000 when they could buy a stock one, you know. So people tend to sell their bike, you know, they've got $1,000 worth of extra stuff put on it, and they're going to sell it for maybe, I don't know, $300 more than the bone stock one. And I tell you what, the one that's $1,000 is going to be, or the one with the extra stuff is going to be a far better deal, because eventually, depending on the type of riding you want to do, you're going to want that stuff on your bike anyway, especially a bash plate. I mean, that's just, you got to have one. So why, you know, go the cheap route and buy the one that's a little less capable when you can buy the one with all the stuff, especially if it's from a rich guy who doesn't know really what he's doing, and he had plans to go around the world but then kind of chickened out and, you know, just got too busy with work or whatever. Well, goodness sakes, he's gonna sell that for less, and you're gonna get a whole bunch of cool farkles for next to nothing, because this guy got bored. And so usually you're gonna be able to get bone stock stuff for near the same price as what you'd get a fully loaded thing for, you know? So I'd always look for fully loaded stuff, you know? Now the caveat to that is that you really will need to find somebody who got bored of their bike, or they were gonna take a big trip and never did, or just got too busy, but they basically had a lot of money to throw at a motorcycle, but then they just never used it. They ran out of time or whatever. And realistically, they don't have time to go back and take all the parts off and then list them separately. And this is something that can save you or make you a ton of money, because you can take those aftermarket parts and either use them for yourself, and that'll save you money off of buying new ones in the future, or you can sell them, you can hawk them, and you can make a lot of money and really knock off a lot of that price of that bike by selling the parts that you don't need. Now real quick, economically, you might ask yourself, why is the value so low when the parts are on the bike, but can be so high when they're off? Now the fact is, it's just a lot easier to buy an FMF pipe that's not already on a motorcycle than to buy a motorcycle with an FMF pipe. And so basically, motorcycles with farkles already on them, the farkles are going to be dirt cheap additions to what you already pay, just because not everybody can buy a motorcycle with an FMF pipe, but you can buy a motorcycle and then get an FMF pipe later. And that's why that FMF pipe, when it's attached to the motorcycle, is going to be worth a lot less to the person who's selling it. And it's simply because there's less market availability when it's attached to a $2,000 machine.